everyone, it's Nina. Thanks for joining me today for a new Funny Friday series video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this adorable card using the Art Impressions Snowman Puppet Stamp and Coordinating die set. We're going to do some really simple Distress Ink watercoloring, including using the new Tim Holtz Scorched Timber color. So why don't we jump on in and create this adorable shaker card. So I have the Snowman Puppet stamp set here. The stamps do come with the coordinating dies. And what's really cute about this set is that you can customize your snowmen to look however you want. So I'm actually going to make a pair of snowmen. And I'm actually going to make a snowman and a snow girl. We're going to watercolor them with Distress Inks. I've already stamped these with VersaFine Clair ink in the Nocturne color. And I dried that with my heat tool before watercoloring. I'm watercoloring on top of Strathmore watercolor paper. I really like using Distress Inks to watercolor because they are water reactive, so they blend really nicely. And because we're coloring snowmen, they aren't super detailed, so all you need to really do is add some blue shading. And then I'm using some other colors to color everything in, including I'm using the Scorched Timber color to color in the arms of the snowmen, and we'll also use it a little bit later to color in the trees that are going to go behind our snow people. Some of the colors I used were Scorched Timber, Broken China, Carved Pumpkin, Kitsch Flamingo, Dusty Concord, and Uncharted Mariner. All of those are listed in the video description and on the blog, so you can find picture links for all of that. As you can see, I did not do any really crazy shading. These images are very whimsical, so a very simple coloring actually works really well for them. I'm going to use the coordinating dies to cut everything out, and I do want to cut a slit into this hat so that way it can sit on the snowman's head. So I'll use a craft knife off camera to cut that slit across the black line, and then that allows this hat to sit on the snowman's head. I'm also going to end up attaching all of these cute little accessories onto both of the snow people. I do want to add some sparkle to them, so I did bring in some stickles, and I used that to color in the white areas of the hat. You'll notice I never colored those with watercolors because I wanted them to be white with a sparkle. And then I also added that same stickles to the bow for the snow girl, so that way it would have a little bit of sparkle. With some rainbow splash drops, I thought it'd be fun to make buttons for the snowmen out of these really cute iridescent droplets. What's also really nice about these splash drops is that they have adhesive already on them, so all you have to do is stick them right down onto the project. So the background of my card is going to be made from Simon Says Stamp's Arched Forest die and embossing folder set. So I'm going to die cut some watercolor paper first with the Arched Forest die. Then with the embossing folder, I'm going to lay that die cut piece over top of the area that it matches up with of the embossing folder, close it all up, and then we'll run this through our die cut machine to press that embossed design into our tree die cut. And now these trees look super realistic. To color them, I'm going to use Scorched Timber and Gathered Twigs Distress Inks. Starting first with Gathered Twigs, I'm going to add a light layer of brown across the trees, and I'm using a Simon Says Stamp blending brush to apply that ink. I then want to add some shading, so that's why I brought in Scorched Timber for that really nice, deep, dark color for the trunks. And you'll notice as I apply the ink, I'm not trying to cover up all of the gathered twigs. I do want some of that color still showing through, so we'll just apply that in certain areas to get that shading. While the ink is still wet, I'm going to take some Scorched Timber embossing glaze, and I'm going to apply this over top of all of our ink. And because the Distress Ink is still wet, it's actually holding that embossing glaze to our paper. I want to create some texture though, so that this looks like this is adding some texture to our tree trunk. And so I'm going to take a brush and brush off a lot of that powder so that I get a lot of striations. This will add that texture and give these trees a really cool weathered look, which is what I want. That embossing glaze will also capture any of the color that's underneath because embossing glazes are semi-transparent. So you're going to have some of the other color still showing through underneath. And because it's an embossing glaze, it resists any more ink that you add on top. So now I'm going to come back in with a little bit more Gathered Twigs and Scorched Timber and add additional shading. So this creates some really neat depth to our trees. It makes them look very, very cool. I'm going to put these trees onto a simple background. I'm just going to do a little bit of ink blending with Broken China, which is the color I used to color in the snowmen. And I just faded that towards the middle, so that way I get a little bit of a blue sky back there, but it's not going to be super crazy because these trees are a bit busy, so I don't want too much back there. I glued my trees with some liquid glue on top of that background, and then I trimmed it down so that it is 3 3/4 by 5. This will mat nicely then onto an A2 card. I'm going to turn this into a shaker though, because I want it to look like it's snowing inside of this scene. So I'm going to make this an edge-to-edge shaker because I like those for a non-bulky card. It makes it easier to send. So I'm putting adhesive around all 4 sides of this background panel, and I'm using Terrific tape from Simon Says Stamp to do this. Then I'll remove the release paper from 3 sides of this background, leaving that 4th side completely open yet. We don't want to close that side up because we still need to dump some sequins and embellishments inside to make our snow. So I folded the plastic over into the adhesive to form our pocket, and now I'm going to take some distressed mica flakes. These are going to be our snow pieces, and I'm going to dump a little generous amount of that into my pocket. And then I also found some snowflake embellishment sequins that I had in my stash, and I'll dump those in as well. Those will look cool mixed in with the mica flakes to really create that perfect snowy feel I was going for. Once I have my shaker filled, then I can remove that last bit of release paper from the final edge of our shaker card and now fold that plastic into it to close everything inside. And we'll start assembling our snow people onto our card. And I did make sure to adhere the second snowman onto that card a little bit lower so that she was smaller. So the snow girl is a little smaller than the snow boy. And I'll glue all of my extra accessories onto them as well, including the bow, the scarf, their arms, and also the little bird. And I used liquid glue for all of this to adhere everything down because I'm trying to keep the bulk down on this card. And our Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky Glue is a great adhesive for adhering stuff like this together. So how cute is this? It is adorable. It's coming together so beautifully, but I thought it'd be fun to add some extra snowflakes. So I'm going to bring in this Simon Says Stamp Sparkling Snowflake Frame and Trio die set. And I'm just going to use the trio. I'm not going to use the frame. I've die cut these from some white cardstock, and then I'm going to use my Craft Tacky Glue to just put a dot of adhesive behind each of these snowflakes and glue them down around the background. And I'm making sure to put them in a visual triangle so everything feels really balanced. I did put a small rainbow splash drop in the center of each of these snowflakes to tie in the ones that I used on the snow people. And the last thing to do is to add a greeting. So I picked out this Jubilee Sentiment stamp set from our Simon Says Stamp collection. I'm using the I Miss Your Hugs stamp, and I'm going to ink this up with embossing ink onto some Rainbow Splash Ballet cardstock. I really liked this pink. It matched nicely with the Kitsch Flamingo color we used for the watercoloring. I'll use Simon Says Stamp white embossing powder to set this greeting, and I get a really nice bright white sentiment on top of this pink cardstock, and I'll pop that greeting up right above the 2 snowmen. This is going to get layered onto an A2 card, which is a Simon Says Stamp top folding card base. So I love how this turned out. It was so much fun to decorate this snowman puppet stamp from Art Impressions with some of the accessories that are included. This is a perfect stamp set to be used over and over again to make all sorts of different types of adorable snowmen. I hope you were inspired by this card project. I especially loved being able to do some simple watercoloring on this sweet set. And of course, it's always fun to finish things off by putting everything together as a shaker card. Because you can't have snow without a little bit of shakety shake, right? Alright friends, well thanks so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And don't forget that you can find all the supplies that I used today down in the video description as well as on our blog. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you again very soon.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at SimonSaysStamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.